guys something really cool with the EUI S4 Pro Max. If you turn the bike on, you first got to hit this power button on the top, which is the first time I've seen that. Really cool display. But check out this RGB tail light. It's got a whole bunch of different color patterns. It'll definitely catch people's attention. The thing is pretty big, man. It's like the biggest light I've seen in the tail light. And it does have turn signals, so when you hit this button up here, it does turn on an amber turn signal that's pretty big, and it does have turn signals in the front as well. They're both sequential. And that's just what it looks like when you're going. Now this is with the headlight and tail light off. But if you push and hold that, it does this RGB cycle of colors, which is actually pretty cool. I like it. But when you hit the brake, the RGB goes away and it does a hyper flash. Now normally these lights flicker in cameras, but this is what it actually looks like. So pretty cool. Then it goes back to the RGB color thing. Now it has a whole bunch of different patterns. It cycles through a bunch of different colors and patterns, and then it has like a rainbow theme as well in there eventually. But really neat looking. I've never seen anything like it. Pretty cool. And the Pro Max now has rear foot pegs. They're itty bitty, but they're there if you need them. And a big 30 amp hour battery, which is nice. We're gonna go over this whole bike. They changed the seat design. The frame design's almost exactly the same, but the seat design's a little bit different. Battery's bigger, better rear shock. It's an air shock. So if you're interested in picking up this bike, make sure you check the description. I'm going to be putting a link down there as well as a coupon code. So the Pro Max is currently $18.99, and you do have a Black Friday discount code BF300, which will get you $300 off of this. $15.99 for a dual motor e-bike with a 30 amp hour battery and a moped style frame with an air shock. Nice tail light, turn signals, headlight. Very good deal for that. Oh, I don't know if I really like those pegs back there. Now the pedal assist is also controlled by the throttle. When I'm pedaling, my back foot is definitely hitting these pegs, so that means I'm probably going to remove them. Though I won't be pedaling too much, but this is a torque sensor e-bike, so kind of has a torque sensor for a reason. But we're just going to check the pedal assist levels with throttle. Since it's controlled by that, we can see the top speed. So pedal assist 1 is 10 miles per hour. Pedal assist 2 looks like 18 miles an hour, 17 on the, 16 on the GPS, which is a good speed for my subdivision. Now let's go to 3. It looks like we're at 21. Pedal assist 4. Oh, this is going to be a cold ride today. It's chilly. 55, I think. 55 Fahrenheit. So 24 with pedal assist 4. So 25 miles per hour max with pedal assist 5 and single motor. And then let's put it in dual motors because we're getting ready to go up a hill here. Alright, let's see what kind of top speed we can get here. So about 30 miles an hour, flat ground, GPS verified. I think that's good. I was really expecting it to be a little bit faster, but now we just took the battery off the charger right before we started this ride. So we do got full power here. But I like the handlebars, they're really comfortable. They're ergonomic and they kind of sweep back towards you a little bit. Now you got your front suspension adjustment here. There's no preload, but just the compression, so you can adjust it to make it tighter or looser, whichever you want. That's tighter. We need to go, oops, need to go down here. There we go, that's a little looser. And I didn't make any adjustments to the rear shock, but you can do that. Those have a horn, which is pretty decently loud. Be good for traffic. Now when you have the throttle engaged and you have both motors going, you can kind of feel the front motor. You can definitely feel the front motor engaged, and having dual motors really helps with climbing hills. So what we're going to do now is head over to the hill climbing spot. I'm going to show you what this thing can do with the dual motors. See how fast we can get up some of these hills. We should be able to tackle all of them today with a dual motor e-bike. So we'll see how well that works. So far though, first impressions, I really like this bike. Very comfortable to ride. The suspension is really nice. Definitely soft in the back, and you can adjust that really easily with the air pump. Got to get a special one though. I'll put a link down in the description to the air pump I use for my shocks. Picks up speed pretty good with those dual motors too. Now the S4 Pro and Pro Max just got released a couple days ago. The Pro is almost exactly like the normal S4, except it's a dual motor bike. Everything else is the same except for the seat and the motors, the extra motor. The S4 Pro Max gives you air suspension in the back and a 30 amp hour battery instead of a 25 amp hour, so you get a little bit bigger capacity with the S4 Pro Max. Now we reviewed the S4 originally, and I really enjoyed that bike. And I know that they sold quite a few of them, myself included. So I know it's a pretty popular e-bike. So this is the successor to that one. And so far it's pretty awesome. Now it's not mind-blowing speed or anything. Now the S4 was also a 48 volt e-bike. This is 52 volt. So with that 52 volt battery, you're going to get a little bit more power. Now I don't know the amperage of the controller. So I took the seat off. It does look like we have a 22 amp controller. If you guys can read that, it's right there. That has a lot to do with how much power you get. But here we are on the 6% grade, hitting 20 miles per hour at the steepest point there. Now this is where we do all of our hill climbing tests now, so you guys are probably familiar with this road. But right up here where it says utility work ahead, that's the 8% portion of this grade. So we're hitting that at 16 miles per hour, which is pretty good. Okay, here we go. Dual motors, 10% grade. Most bikes that are not dual motors do not make it up this hill very well. At least single motor 52 volt bikes, they don't do the greatest up this hill, but they will make it. Dual motors though, we should make it up pretty good. So right up here by this light pole is where it gets the steepest. no problem at all. They made it up to 10% grade at 16 miles per hour, so the same as the 8%. Now, if you guys would like to see a range test with this bike, please leave a comment down below and let me know. If I get enough interest, I'll make a range test of this. So we're going to leave it on dual motor. We're going to go up this hill here. This is the 12% grade. Now, most bikes that are single motor can't even make it up this hill, but most dual motor bikes can. This is a 12% grade though. And we are going up it just fine at 14 miles an hour, roughly. All right, here's the EUYBIKE S4 Pro Max. Very nice e-moped style bike that you can get at a really good price right now. They have it listed at $18.99 with a $300 Black Friday special, so you can get this at $15.99 right now. I will leave a link down in the description if you guys are interested. But this bike is very nice looking. They've upgraded the seat, the suspension, they added a bigger battery, different headlight, but they have front turn signals and a really cool tail light that we'll look at here in just a second. They also have Logan hydraulic brakes and 203 millimeter rotors on the back and front. So nice to see that. Now, I do not see any stampings on this bike as far as how many watts the motor actually is, but it does say 52 volt 20, which means it's a 20-inch rim at 52 volts. They say it's 1,000 watts per motor. So yes, you have two of them. Here's the other one on the back. And EUYBIKE says they peak at 1500 watts. This is a dual motor bike, 52 volt. They claim 1000 watt nominal, 1500 watt peak, which would equate to 3000 watts peak. We got a big honking 30 amp hour Shark style battery right here with an on off switch, and that will allow you to get quite a bit of range. And the S4 Pro Max has the 30 amp hour. The S4 Pro only has the 25 amp hour. The S4 Pro also has a different shock. It does not include a torque sensor, and it's a little bit less of a bike than you get with the Pro Max, but still both very good quality e-bikes for this type of bike at a budget. And I like all the upgrades that they made to this. So I reviewed the S4 before, you guys have seen that video. This one is the successor to that one. I really like this bike a lot. Super comfortable. The S4 Pro Max has the air shock in the back, so you can adjust that and you can air it up and it'll give you a little bit more cushion. I thought the ride from the factory was pretty good. It's a little bit better than what you get with the S4 Pro and the regular S4. The S4 Pro and S4 have the coiled shock. This is air. You got your little inlet over here where you can air it up. You do have to have a special pump for that. Here's the new seat. This one's a lot more comfortable than the first one. It doesn't look like it's as thick, but a lot more padding. I actually really like the seat. Super comfortable, very, very padded, and good for your tushy. Really provides a lot of cushion when you're riding, along with the air shock. Very nice ride on this bike. I really enjoyed it. I could put a lot of miles on this bike, I could definitely tell that. And very, very comfortable. I really like it. Up here in the front, you have your headlight. This is a little bit different than the head in the previous model, but this is pretty bright. Now let's go ahead and power on the bike. And then there's the headlight. So it's got an outer ring here when you have the headlight off. So it's just a daytime running light. And then you have your main beam, which is a projector style headlight right in the middle. And it looks like it's pretty bright, to be honest with you. Really nice. It does have the integrated horn, which is actually really loud. You can hear it pretty good. And then you got your front and rear turn signals. So here's the front turn signal. They are sequential. So you got your left and right. And then in the back, you also have sequential turn signals. Now, this tail light is something else. It's RGB. So you get a whole spectrum of colors. It does all these different patterns. And at the end of this video, you can see all the different patterns. I'll leave the last clip with just this light on it, so you guys can see all the different patterns. But very cool. Does look like they have a mounting place here in the back for a rear rack. So if you are looking to add some cargo capacity to this bike, you have that option. So down here is your Shimano Tourney derailleur, 7-speed gear set in the back. They did add pegs for the passenger. Now, if you pedal your bike with these on, you're going to hit the back of your heel, especially if you wear like a size 12 shoe like me. So personally, I would remove this, but if you're a shorter rider with smaller shoes, this might not affect you. But when I was pedaling, my foot was definitely hitting the back of this almost every time. Now this does have a torque sensor, but to be honest, you're not going to be pedaling this bike very often. It is not the best pedaling experience, but they did install a torque sensor on this bike, so if you are short enough to pedal this, you'll get a little bit better pedaling experience than with the cadence sensor. And they do have a derailleur guard to protect your derailleur, which is nice to see. And here's a little closer look at the shock. So the rear suspension has a lockout, so that's what that little blue knob is. And then right here is where you fill it up with air. This valve comes off, but there's where you fill it up right here. Kind of hard to see, it's a little dark right there. Pull that red cap off, and that is where you will fill it up. So if you do need to take your front motor off to do any repairs, like swap the tire, of course, they do have a quick release, but it's way back here in the rear of the bike. So this goes to your front motor, then they have another quick release on the other side for the rear, down there. Here's the big beefy battery. This is where you charge it. And on the other side is where you have the key and you can remove it. And it does have a on-off switch on the other side. Now we do have a nice set of 203mm rotors in the back with your Logan 2-piston hydraulic brakes. The stopping power on this bike and the brakes worked really good. I usually have pretty good luck with Logan hydraulic brakes. Now when you hit the brake light, you guys can see it does have a flashing brake light, and it's a giant brake light. Like compared to other ones, this thing is huge. But I would say this is about twice or maybe even 3 times bigger than the other tail lights. Now when I went to go install the headlight, I did not have the bolts screwed in here. So when you get your bike, you should have 2 bolts here. I had to run to the hardware store to get that. I will make sure that EUI knows that, just in case they forget to put them on any other bike. But I did not have those. It's an M6, so if you need to replace it, you can get that at the hardware store pretty easily. Now the screen's really cool, and the control panel is a little bit different than I've ever seen before. But here's where your horn switch is, and this is how you power it on. So there's got 2 buttons right here. You got one on the bottom and one on the top. The top one is your power button, which is a little bit unique. So you just push and hold that to turn it on and off. Now when you power it up, it automatically turns the headlight on. So if you want to brighten up your screen in the daylight so you can see it, it does get really bright. You just have to turn your headlight off. But if you turn your headlight off, your cool RGB taillight doesn't work, so keep that in mind. Up on the top, you'll have a colored battery graph, which is really nice. I like the coloring, pretty fancy. Here you'll have your PAS levels, so you can adjust that with the control panel. And then this is your miles per hour. It also shows you your trip and your odometer and all of that. So here's your trip. You just hit this button right here at the bottom. There's your odometer. There's the time that the bike's been powered on. Then you also have your max speed and your average speed up there. No voltage gauge, no watt meter or anything like that. But it does have one other indication here, and this is how you switch from your single motor to dual motors. You can pick front and rear independently. You can shut them both off, or you can have them both on. So you hit the bottom button down here, you just push and hold it for about 2 to 3 seconds, and it'll change modes. So you can see the little guy here on the bike. His wheels light up differently depending on if you have a single motor or dual motor enabled. So right now we have dual motors enabled, We can turn it off so no motors are on. And then we have rear motor, just the front motor, or both. So you can choose which one you're using at all times or disable it completely. And then on the right, you have your 7-speed SIS index by Shimano, and you just click that to go down gears, click that to go up. And then you have your throttle here, your twist throttle. Now if we set this down to PAS 0, that completely disables the motors too. So if you have the motors disabled here, any PAS level, they're not going to work. But if you have one motor on in this on a number, it will engage. But if you have one motor on and this down to 0, it does not. So you can completely shut this off multiple different ways. Now to turn the headlight on, you push and hold the plus button. Screen dims, it gives you a headlight indicator. Your headlight turns on, and then your really cool RGB tail light comes on as well. So this bike for the price is pretty feature rich. Has some pretty cool options, dual motors, full suspension, e-moped style frame with a 30 amp hour battery, air shock in the back, very nice quality seat. I like the material they used. The cushioning is really good. It's got nice big brake rotors, really nice hydraulic brakes. So for the price, man, you get a lot with this bike. I really like the choice of handlebars they put on here. It looks like it's a little different than what they used previously. So I like that. They're kind of like similar to a BMX style, but they kind of swoop in. And I think that's a little bit different than they had on the previous model, if I'm not mistaken. The whole package is really nice. Now, if you are interested in picking up one of these bikes, I will leave a link down in the description. If you're interested in seeing more e-bike related content, I have another EUYBIKE that I'm going to be reviewing soon. Other than that though, these bikes are really good. I've had a lot of compliments from other people that have purchased EUYBIKes. They really like them. They seem to be really good quality for the price that you pay. And I definitely would recommend checking them out if you are interested in an e-bike. Just like the S4 I think the S4 Pro Max is an extremely good deal, especially with the Black Friday discounts. So if you guys are interested in picking up one of these e-bikes, make sure you go check the link in the top of the description. If I have any coupon codes of my own, I'll leave them down there. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to see more e-bike content.